What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend. And as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. We have had such a fucking crazy week in the pop culture sphere. We have the VMAs, Selling Sunset, Beyoncé getting snubbed by the CMAs, Taylor Swift endorsing Kamala Harris, David Grohl being a man whore. Like, there is so much going on, and I'm like, holy shit, my cup has runneth over. The girls are girling, the pop culture is pop culturing. What the fuck? We have a lot to discuss today, and we're going to dive into it in just a minute. But before that, we have a few housekeeping things just to go over super quick. First and foremost, to any of my visual watchers, anybody on YouTube, I apologize for the insane asylum that I am currently filming in. Normally, if this is your first time watching, there are more things on the wall. The bar cart isn't empty. It's literally missing the glass. Like, there's a lot going on. I am moving literally in 2 days, so there's a lot happening, and it's exciting, but it's also very bittersweet. I like started the podcast in this apartment. I like came up with the name, like everything literally in this apartment. So to be moving, I'm very excited to move. It's a much nicer apartment, much nicer building. Like, I'm very thrilled to be moving. But like thinking in terms of like the podcast, I'm like, this is the last episode I'll be filming in this apartment. Like, next week is going to be a completely different setup. I don't even know where I'm going to film in the new apartment yet. I have to figure that out by Tuesday, which is just like another thing to add to my list. I'll figure it out later and, we'll worry about it then. But like, it's a little bittersweet. The podcast is getting a whole different backdrop, but I will still be the same. I will still be bringing you guys all of the moments from the week that were too pop to handle. And because an hour-long podcast every single week isn't enough, I have also officially launched my newsletter. If you do not follow me on social media, A, what are you doing? And B, I launched a Substack over the weekend. I decided, why not, in the mix of looking for an apartment, in the mix of packing up my life and moving again, why not launch a newsletter and a blog on top of my full-time job and having a podcast and everything else that I do? So we have a Substack now. My weekly newsletter is going to be called Popping In. So it's going to be me popping into your inbox every single week with some pop culture news. Essentially, think of it as like the things that I wanted to talk about on the podcast, but it just didn't fit in. It kind of would just be like, there would be like not too much to talk about if I was sitting here talking into the mic, but I still wanted you guys to know about it. So you can find that on my website or at the link in my bio on Instagram, wherever you find me on social media, or you can just go to twopoptohandle.substack.com. Subscribe there. I'm also going to be doing some other little write-ups, just, it's just anything I don't see fit for the podcast, like anything I can't fit into the weekly show is going to be there. So make sure you subscribe. I'm really excited. And I did it on Substack because there's such a community there. They also support podcasting. Like, you can upload them there. So I'm going to play around with it and how I want to do it, in that sense. That's for me to find out and for me to know and you guys to find out, excuse me. But we will do it. We are just, figuring things out as we go along. But yes, make sure you subscribe. I already have 2 posts up, one being Popping In Volume 1, so some pop culture things from last week. And then my second post is the second thing we're going to chat about, or I guess third thing we're going to chat about on this episode. I am so excited for Halsey's upcoming album, The Great Impersonator. We're like 6 weeks away from the release, I want to say, and I am one of the first 100 people to listen to it, which is so exciting. She hosted a little fan listening party over the weekend, last weekend, and I was able to go. I was so excited. I've been talking about this album since she started announcing it, really. Like, the rollout, the concept, everything I am obsessed with. So when I saw that you were doing this event in New York, I was like, oh, bitch, I am there. So I was lucky enough to be one of the first 100 people to RSVP. I got in, I got to go. It was fabulous. It was so much fun. This album has something for everybody. There are so many different sounds, so many different genres. It definitely covers some really deep shit. The writing and the messages on this album are like, it's definitely deeper than she's ever been. And I talk all about it in my Substack post. I'm going to be that person now. I'm going to be like, well, you can find it all on my Substack. But that is something that I didn't want to really talk about on the podcast too much because she did kind of give the idea of like, I don't want you guys to share too much about the album because I want it to be a first time experience for everybody to listen to it when it comes out in October. So I did a spoiler free recap of the entire night over on my Substack. But if you are not interested in reading it, the TLDR, the album is fantastic. I am so excited for everybody to hear it. I'm also a little like bittersweet in the sense that like I got to hear some of these songs and I don't get to hear them again for another month and a half. I have some of them stuck in my head and I'm like, I love that I got to go. It is such a privilege and an honor that I was able to like be a part of such a cool event. But I'm like, fuck, I can't listen to these songs. The album comes out in October 25th. Like, I have so long to wait until I can hear these songs again, but it will be well worth the wait. Trust me, you guys are going to love this album. If you're liking the things that she's put out so far, you are going to love the rest of the album. You have not even heard close to the best yet. I am so excited. But that being said, we have a lot to cover, so let's hop into these pop culture moments that were just too pop to handle, kicking it off with some pop culture rapid fire. First things first, Kendrick Lamar has been announced as the Super Bowl 59 halftime performer. And now that means we are going to hear Kendrick Lamar call Drake a pedophile on NFL's biggest night. Fucking crazy. Now, there's no denying that I would always root for a pop girl to do the Super Bowl halftime. I feel like it's kind of like a fair trade. You know, the men get to watch football and we get to watch the halftime show. And it's a pop girl, it's so much fun. But I will say I am very excited for what Kendrick does for his halftime show. I've seen him live 2 or 3 times now. I want to, yeah, twice on his own. And then he came out once when I saw Beyonce. He came out as a surprise guest, which was crazy. They did Freedom together and it was like literally like an incredible, insane performance. And he's always put on such a killer show. He does such a good job at just like captivating the audience and like really putting it all into the performance. So I'm sure on this stage he will take it to a whole new level. I'm very excited. And with the Super Bowl halftime show, when the performer gets announced, it always starts to raise the question, who are the guests going to be? Like, there's always, people start to really look at their discography with a magnifying glass and they're like, who could they bring out? Who could it be? He obviously has tracks with some of the greats. He has Beyoncé, Taylor Swift, Rihanna, SZA. Like there are a lot of potentially like major guests. I'm going to go ahead and just cross Taylor off the list. She is not stepping foot on a halftime stage until it is her halftime show, and God only knows when that's going to happen. We're definitely a little bit closer now with Apple being the sponsor of it and not Pepsi, but like who knows if it'll happen, when it'll happen. Obviously, Travis had the whole little play in it now. Like it'll be, is it Taylor's night, Travis's night? So that's a later discussion. We're talking about Kendrick right now. Like I was saying, he could really bring out so many major guests. I mean, Beyonce, Rihanna, SZA. But somebody I'm going to go ahead and say will not be taking the Super Bowl stage with Kendrick Lamar is Nicki Minaj. So if you did not see, she went on a crazy rant, as she does on Twitter, just going nuts on Kendrick, on Jay-Z, on Beyonce, on Rock Nation, just like going insane because Lil Wayne didn't get the Super Bowl halftime show. And she was like, it's in Atlanta, he should be performing, it's his hometown. There's just like a lot of misinformation being spread and just wrong things being said. And I don't understand. So if you don't know, Jay-Z is the co-producer of the Super Bowl halftime show. Rock Nation is a major sponsor of the entire game and their partnership with the NFL since 2019. So he pretty much gets to pick who is performing at the halftime show. I don't know if it's as simple as him being like, I want you to perform, but Jay-Z has a big say in who performs the halftime show. That being said, I guess Nicki Minaj thinks, I mean, obviously Nicki's gonna take Drake's side in anything because of, Young Money, the whole vibe there. Like the three of them are a trio in that sense, no matter what happens. Like the three of them are always gonna be, three being Nicki, Lil Wayne, and Drake. Like they're always gonna be a trio and kind of grouped together. But the way she was going insane on Twitter was so uncalled for. Like, I need to remind you guys, Nicki Minaj is a grown woman. And the way that she acts when things don't go away that she wants is so insane. It is just like, like you are a grown woman. What are you doing? It was insane, these tweets. I saw them on my timeline and I was like, well, it's about that time that I mute Nicki again because I go through phases. I would say every like 6 to 8 months, I end up muting her. And then like 2 or 3 months after that, I unmute her. So she's really muted for, I would say, like 70% of the year. And then the other 30% is like when she's not doing much and just kind of like existing. But this was just crazy. And like, not for nothing, I don't think there was ever beef between Jay-Z and Lil Wayne. Like, I don't think there was anything there. Lil Wayne literally was brought out as a special guest at the Renaissance tour when DJ Khaled opened. That would not have that would not have happened if Beyonce and Jay-Z had beef with Lil Wayne. So I don't know where this is all stemming from. I don't know like what she's trying to stir up and like what's going on, but like it's safe to say we will never get another Beyonce and Nicki collab again. And it's safe to say that Nicki won't be coming out on stage with Kendrick, nor will Lil Wayne, nor will Drake, nor will Birdman. So we will see, who Kendrick ends up bringing out. But I think, starting the list of people he won't be bringing out is kind of where we're at right now. And as we get closer to, we'll try to, dwindle down who he's going to bring out. Moving right along, some other TV news. The Creative Art Emmys were over the weekend last week. And one thing about me, I always forget how much of like a lift the Emmys are. There's always like I feel like there's like 17 different shows, there's different awards and there's different people at different ones and it's like how do you keep up with what it is? I forgot that the Creative Art Emmys were even happening last weekend. It's like it's a lot. Like I get it. I get why they do it because they want to nominate everybody and everybody should have their moment and it shouldn't be kind of like the VMAs, not to be a spoiler. There shouldn't be off-screen awards being given out. Like to be given an award, you should have your moment. Obviously there's some that they can't give everybody screen time, but like I'm getting ahead of myself, but like the way the VMAs pretty much announced 7 awards on screen and didn't, let everybody else just like get announced on the commercials. Crazy. So I guess this is the Emmys way of making sure everybody has their moment. So if you do not know, just a little background, the reason that they have the Creative Art Emmys, they call it the appetizer to the Emmys. So it is to recognize the achievements in the technical and behind the scenes categories such as editing, music, and costuming, and it's the awards for any of the guest actors who were presented during the ceremony. So anyone who's like a guest, if they're on for like 2 episodes of a show and they're nominated, or we'll see someone who was like the narrator of a show, things like that, where it's not like they were a mainstay, the writer, the creator, the main star in it, like they get their own show. And then this weekend we'll have the regular Emmys. I'm very excited. Eugene and Dan Levy are hosting, and I love the two of them, so I'm stoked to see them host it. I'm excited to see, who wins. But to me, one of the biggest news stories to come out of the Emmys from over the weekend is the fact that Alan Cumming has broken RuPaul's 8-year streak for winning Outstanding Host for a reality competition program. RuPaul has obviously been like the every single year RuPaul has won this award. It has just been like nonstop. I believe he's like the most Emmy awarded person of color in history. He always wins this award. It's like an ongoing thing. And Alan Cumming has taken it away from him, which if it's gonna go to anybody besides RuPaul, I'm so happy it went to Alan Cumming for The Traitors. I fucking love that season of the show. It was so good. I'm very excited for season 3, but I love to see it. If it's not going to be RuPaul, I'm very happy it is Alan. And then the next little bit of Emmy news that we got, this is big news for me, and I'll tell you why in a second. But Pasek and Paul have officially gained EGOT status, and that is such a big deal for somebody like me who saw La La Land in theaters 5 times. Anybody who knows me knows that I made La La Land like my entire personality trait when it came out. Not to mention like all the other projects they've worked on, The Greatest Showman. Like they've done so many major. I mean, obviously they have an EGOT, no shit, they worked on major films and music and things like that, but they've officially reached EGOT status for their work in Only Murders in the Building Season 3 for the song Which of the Pickwick Triplets Did It. So love to see it. Huge moment for, like I said, a La La Land geek like me who just admired Pasek and Paul's work. So love to see that. And then we have some first-time Emmy winners. We have Angela Bassett winning her first Emmy ever for Outstanding Narration on National Geographic's nature documentary Queens. We also had Jamie Lee Curtis winning her first Emmy for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series on The Bear, which I've never watched The Bear, but I know for a fact it's not a comedy series, so I'm very curious how they pick these categories, but I digress. Congratulations, Jamie Lee Curtis. And the final Emmy news that we're going to talk about is another first. Sandra Oh won her first Emmy for Outstanding Television Movie for Quiz Lady. So very exciting there. I feel like the Emmys are always such an exciting time for anybody who's just like a TV person. So to see some, big headlines from the Creative Art Emmy already, and now we have the main show coming up this weekend, I am very excited. So we'll chat more about that next week. And moving right along to our next pop culture moment, this is some very exciting and just like really full circle, kind of like close the loop on this story moment. So Kate Middleton has announced that she is officially cancer free. If you remember a few months ago, I was talking about like, where the hell is she? She was kind of like missing. Nobody had seen her. They were like canceling all of her events, things like that. And it was unfortunately kind of becoming like an internet joke. Like, what is she doing? Did she get a BBL? Like, what is going on with Kate Middleton? And then we all felt like assholes because it turned out that she was battling cancer. And obviously, if you listen to the episode, I remember like making an apology and being like, I am so sorry that I made a joke of this last week because now I feel like an asshole. And I do feel like it was like the whole internet kind of was like, fuck, this is like where the internet went a little too far. But I am very happy to announce that she is officially cancer free. She posted over the weekend and she said that as the summer comes to an end, I cannot tell you what a relief it is to have finally completed my chemotherapy treatment. The last 9 months have been incredibly tough for us as a family. Life as you know it can change in an instant, and we have had to find a way to navigate the stormy waters and road unknown. Doing what I can to stay cancer free is now my focus. Although I have finished chemotherapy, my path to healing and full recovery is long, and I must continue to take it each day as it comes. So, just, obviously that was such like a weird time in pop culture to be like, where is Kate Middleton? She's like, hey, I have cancer. Stop making memes about me. To see her now a few months later to finally know that, she's completed her treatment and she is, healthy and just kind of on the road to recovery is such like a nice positive way to close the loop on this story. And I couldn't not cover it, especially because it was such a pillar in a few episodes for the podcast. And then wrapping up our final pop culture rapid fire moment. This is somebody I really never thought I would talk about on the podcast because he just does not he doesn't cross my desk often. Even when he does cross my desk, I'm like, I'm not really going to give him the time of day. He's just like not my cup of tea. But if you did not see, Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters is expecting a baby, or I'm sorry, had welcomed a baby with somebody who was not his wife. So yes, he has had an affair, and I'm not discrediting an affair. I'm not saying like that is okay, but the way that he announced it was so fucking weird. Like, at the end of the day, men are trash. We know this. Like, men suck. Men cheat, unfortunately. It's like more common than you would like to admit, but it happens. To me, the more shocking part of this entire story is how he announced it, because he took to Instagram on Tuesday and he said, I've recently become the father of a new baby daughter born outside of my marriage. I plan to be a loving and supportive parent to her. I love my wife and my children. I'm doing everything I can to regain their trust and earn their forgiveness. We're grateful for your consideration toward all the children involved as we move forward together. That was his statement. Sure, great. Make a statement. You're a man whore, whatever. You cheated on your wife. Fuck you. He posted this statement not on his Instagram, not on the Foo Fighters Instagram, on the Instagram page for his book that came out in October of 2023. The page does not have any activity on it. The book is almost a year old, and you choose to post this statement on that platform. It was like such a like easy cop out. Like, you just own it. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to post it on your main account. You have to make a statement about cheating on your wife and having a baby with somebody. Like, just be a man for once and do it on your main account. It was just like bizarre to me that this is how he chose to announce it to the world, and kind of like it's kind of a slap in the face to his wife and kids to be like, oh yeah, I'll make a statement, don't worry, and it gets posted on his book account. I don't know, rub me the wrong way. Men are trash. But we'll talk about Taylor in a little bit, but this is kind of just like Tay Voodoo coming in clutch. We all remember, like I was saying, when he came across my desk a few months ago and he was talking shit about Taylor Swift, saying how she's not singing live. It was the Errors tour, He had a lot to say about Taylor Swift. And like we'll learn very soon in this episode when we talk about her in just a little bit, Tay Voodoo is real, and I'm going to leave it at that. And we're going to keep this ball rolling, keep this party going, because we are moving into our Drew releases segment. So, our new music releases from last week, and then touching on what's coming out this week. And there was a lot last week. So, let's dive in. First things first is the Dares album, What's Wrong with New York, came out. I'm loving it. I've honestly been listening to it kind of nonstop. I've been alternating between that, Short and Sweet, and Brat. They've been like my three on rotation this week. I'm loving this project. I think it's really, really solid. Just fun. It's a little bit different than what I usually listen to. And obviously knowing he's in like the Bratosphere and all of that, I needed to tune into it. Loving this project. Really, really solid piece of work. The next album we're going to talk about, not so solid, but I'm not saying that in a shady way. I had low expectations. It is Paris Hilton's Infinite Icon album. It is not a bad album by all means. Trust me, it's fine. It's good. There are some bops. There's definitely some songs that I'm like, oh, this is gonna be on my getting ready playlist, like my going out playlist. But will I be listening to this album as a whole? No. Did I expect to be listening to this album as a whole? No. I love Paris to death, and like, don't get me wrong, you will find Stars Are Blind on any playlist I make for a party. But like, I wasn't expecting a groundbreaking album from her. It's a fun album. It's upbeat. You know, she did what she had to do. It is what it is. We're going to just move on and leave it at that. Moving on, the next thing that came out, now we're getting into some singles, so we're moving past the albums. We had Megan Thee Stallion and RM of BTS release Never Play. I love Megan Thee Stallion. I can never get enough of her. I just think she's the bee's knees. I like the song a lot. It was really good. She just released her album a few months ago, and now to do this without like an extended version, I'm assuming this is just kind of just like a one-off single, which go off, do your thing. I think it made a lot of sense to release this the week that she was hosting and performing at the VMAs. It just kind of like tied into the hype of it. And I will never say no to new Megan Thee Stallion music, so we loved that. The next track we're going to listen to is Halsey's. The next track we are talking about is Halsey Ego, the fourth or fifth. I'm losing track. There's been a lot of singles from her upcoming album, The Great Impersonator, which we talked about at the top of the show. This is my second favorite single she has dropped from this album yet. I love Lucky. That is my number one. It's just so Y2K, so fun. I just love the vibe. This is my second favorite that she's released so far. And like I said, if you are liking what she has put out for the singles, you are going to love her album because these singles don't even scrape the surface of how good some of these songs on the album are. But I am loving this release from Halsey. It's definitely something nice to kind of like hold us over until we get the full album in a few weeks. Love this track, so good. Loved her VMA performance. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but all around, I'm loving Halsey right now. Like, I think she is just doing such a solid job with this album, and I cannot wait for everybody else to hear it. I'm like holding on to something that I can't tell everybody about. I feel like I'm like, I just want to listen to the album again and like talk about it with you guys because it was just such a cool experience, and I'm just loving what she's doing. And then the next track, there's so many. Next track was Kim Petras featuring the Chainsmokers, Don't Lie. It's good. I liked it. Did it change my life? No. I think this was an interesting collab. Like I was saying last week, I feel like the Chainsmokers kind of like fell off my radar, to be honest. Like if they were to put out a single with anybody else who wasn't Kim Petras or like another one of the girls, like I don't think I would really tune into it, but I liked it. It was good for what it was worth. Yeah, I liked it. Check it out. It's a good song. I wasn't like crazy. I didn't like obsess over it, but it was good. I definitely liked it. I listened to it a few times. So yeah, she was cute. And then today we got a very exciting release. Charli XCX featuring Troye Sivan with a little, a little touch of Dua Lipa in there on the Talk Talk remix. So this is the final remix, so we thought, for the Brat album. She teased it as the final remix we'd be getting, but we now know that is not true. I am taking it as we're going to get no more remix singles because she has now announced that on October 11th, she is releasing Brat and it's completely different, but also still Brat. And I cannot get enough of this Brat era. You guys know that. I feel like I have not shut up about it, but she released this single today and announced this upcoming remix album, and I'm so fucking excited. So we won't talk about the album much because we don't know much other than the title and that it's a remix album. So very excited for that. But the single, I am loving it. I love what they did to it. Talk Talk is my favorite song on the album, I would say. And if it's not my favorite, it like teeters one and two back and forth between that and Spring Breakers. I love Talk Talk, and I think having Troy on it just adds a fun little flair to it. Dua at the beginning doing the voice note. So much fun. I loved it. I don't think Charli could release anything for Brat and I wouldn't love it. It is just, ugh, I'm fucking obsessed with it. It's so good and I cannot wait for this remix album. I'm just, like I said, I'm eating up every single thing she is doing for the Brat era. And that wraps up our releases from last week. Moving on to just what's coming up this week, we have two singles, one from Tate McRae, which I'm super stoked for. We haven't gotten new music from her in a while since her album, and I feel like it's like time to start dropping some new little singles. So that comes out on Friday, today, the day you're listening to it. If you're listening on release day, excuse me, can I talk? Very excited for that. It's called It's Okay, I'm Okay. And then the other single we're getting, we got a little taste of the VMAs yesterday, is Katy Perry featuring Doechii, I'm His, He's Mine. Very, very excited for this single. We will talk about it next week, but let's keep this show on the road because we have a lot to talk about. And class is in session for PR 101 because Beyoncé and Taylor Swift are schooling these bitches in PR this week, and I'm fucking obsessed. Let's get into it, kicking it off with no other than Beyoncé herself. If you did not see, Beyoncé was completely snubbed by the Country Music Awards this week. Not a single nomination for Cowboy Carter at the CMAs this year, which is just so clearly like pointed at her. Like they clearly left her out for a reason. No song of the year, album of the year, Artist of the Year, Feature of the nothing, not a single nomination. And realistically, I could give two shits about the CMAs. The last time I cared about the CMAs is when Beyonce performed at them in 2016, which later gave us the masterpiece project that is Cowboy Carter. So realistically, the CMAs could really just go fuck themselves. Like I wasn't planning to watch regardless unless Beyonce was nominated. So it doesn't change my life anyway, and we all know Beyonce is not losing sleep over not getting a CMA nomination. But what she did the day after the nominations came out was so incredible. Her and Yvette's her publicist, if you don't know, they are just like teaching a masterclass in how to take a headline and completely transform and spin the narrative. So Tuesday, they announced that there was no nominations for Beyonce. Wednesday morning, Beyonce is on the cover of GQ giving a full interview for one of the first times in years. Beyonce does not do interviews. Like getting a Beyonce interview in 2024 is essentially as close as we will get to pigs flying. I was gooped and gagged when I fucking saw that she did a full, I thought it was just like a cover, maybe a few photos, full interview. To say I was sat was an understatement. I was so excited. And I love the fact that this came out the day after all the news broke because all the headlines about the CMAs were about the fact that Beyonce got snubbed. Every single one. It wasn't even talking about the artists who got nominated because everybody was like, what the fuck do you mean Beyonce isn't nominated for a single country music award? After Texas Hold'em was one of the biggest country songs of the entire year, she literally made history by becoming the first Black woman ever to have a #1 song on the Billboard Hot 100 with Texas Hold'em. She also debuted at #1 on Billboard with this album, making her the first woman ever and the second artist overall to debut with her first 8 albums at #1. And it made her the first ever Black woman to reach the top of Billboard's country album charts since it debuted in 1964. And you're going to sit here and say she doesn't deserve an album of the year, a song of the year. Get fucked, Country Music Awards. But like I said, Beyonce took the narrative and spun it herself and dropped this incredible interview the next day. So let's get into it. First things first, she really was doubling down on why she named this album Cowboy Carter. They said, why not Cowgirl Carter? You also just released Sir Davis, the interviewer said. So, like, why are you not, changing the genders to match how you identify? And she said, I really wanted everybody to take a minute to research the word cowboy. History is often told by the victors, and American history is rewritten endlessly. Up to a quarter of all cowboys were Black. These men faced a world that refused to see them as equal, yet they were the backbone of the cattle industry. The cowboy is a symbol of strength and aspiration in America. The cowboy was named after slaves who handled the cows. The word cowboy comes from those who were called boys and never given the respect that they deserved. Nobody would dare call a Black man handling cows Mr. or Sir. For me, Sir Davis is a sign of earned respect. We all deserve respect, especially when we give it. So right then and there, she is coming off the bat just being like, you want to talk about cowboys? You want to talk about country music and the root of it? In your fucking face. Love that. The next thing she said, she got a little personal, and she doesn't do this often. So when she gives us a kind of an insight of like where her mind's at and how she works, like I soak up every single word because who knows the next time she's going to give us an interview. They asked her kind of about like how does she, maintain her peace and balance like work life, and she's raising 3 kids, she's married, like she has a lot going on. Like how do you balance it? And she said, I build my work schedule around my family. I try to only tour when my kids are out of school. I always dreamt of a life where I could see the world with my family and expose them to different languages, architecture, and lifestyle. One thing I've worked extremely hard on is making sure my kids can have as much normalcy and privacy as possible, ensuring my personal life isn't turned into a brand. It's very easy for celebrities to turn our lives into performance art. I have made an extreme effort to stay true to my boundaries and protect myself and my family. No amount of money is worth my peace. And I just like she's cracked the code. She has been in this game for so long, doing this celebrity, thing, whatever you want to call it, since the 90s. And the fact that she has like really been like, nope, I'm doing this for me and my art when it's time to, but I'm also going to take, my time, pump the brakes, spend time with my family, and make sure my kids live as much of a normal life as they can. Obviously, the Carter kids are never going to have a normal life. And that's not an unfortunate thing. They are set. They are very well off, but they are born into the family of literally Beyonce and Jay-Z, they're never going to have a normal life. So the fact that they really try to give them as much normalcy and privacy as possible is admirable. And I mean, Beyonce does such a good job at being private and kind of keeping her life under wraps. We only know and see what she wants us to see and know. So like, I think she's really found that good balance there. And I love that. She also talked about becoming an entrepreneur in all of her business endeavors, saying, I'm drawn to authenticity and I don't waste my time on something unless I'm deeply passionate about it. If I don't wake up thinking about it and I'm not going to sleep dreaming about it, it's not for me. My perception of what success looks like for me is very different than most. When I commit, I'm 100% in. And I love that statement. I think people so often dive into projects, businesses, new endeavors just because they see a dollar sign or they're like, this is going to be great. And they don't commit all in. I mean, even just me thinking about like this podcast, when I read this, the first thing I thought of was about this show and how much I love doing it and how it really is like become a mainstay and a staple in my weekly life. Even my boyfriend, like he knows, he's like, oh, Tuesday night. I mean, this week I'm recording on a different night, but usually Tuesday I come home, like we know the drill. I go to sleep thinking about it in a good way. I like wake up, I'm like, how can I make the show better? What can I do to enhance it? And I loved this statement. I think people, like I said, just dive into whatever when they see a dollar sign, when they see an opportunity, and then they half-ass it, they fall off, and it's just kind of like, if you're not going to be all into it and not completely committed to something, why start it? Why put the energy into it if you're not going to be completely dedicated to it? And that's just something I've always admired about Beyonce. So to see her double down on it again in this interview was really just, it was a moment. I love to read it. I love to see it. I just love this bitch so much. And getting to a topic, which makes me not love her so much because it kind of pisses me off, but it is what it is. She obviously was asked about the visuals. We all know Beyonce is a very visual artist. I mean, Beyonce, the self-titled album, Lemonade, they all came with complete visual side parts. So like for her to be releasing Renaissance, Cowboy Carter with no visuals, but to kind of tease them a little bit, it was definitely weird. And I think every single day people are tweeting, where are the visuals? And she kind of gave us a little update on that. She said, I thought that it was important that during a time where all we see is visuals, that the world could focus on a voice. The music is so rich in history and instrumentation. It takes months to digest, research, and understand. The music needed space to breathe on its own. Sometimes a visual can be a distraction from the quality of the voice and the music. The years of hard work and detail put into an album that takes over 4 years. The music is enough. The fans from all over the world became the visuals. We all got the visual on tour and we got more visuals from my film. So she is really just like doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on the fact that you are the visuals, baby. Like she told us on tour, you are the visuals, and she is continuing on that path. She's obviously filmed something for this trilogy, and I've said it before, I've just kind of like let it go and been like, we're not getting the visuals if at any time until all 3 parts are released. I think it's going to be like a big major kind of like movie moment that she's going to do. So I've kind of given up on it, but seeing this, it stung. It stung a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I was like, damn it, she wasn't fucking lying when she said we are the visuals. So, it hurt, but I love the fact that she really is like visual. We are such a visual world right now, especially with TikTok and everybody's so tapped into their phones and videos and whatever it may be. She was like, I have put my blood, sweat, and tears into this album, and there is so much history and things to discover about these bodies of work. Listen to the music, digest it yourself, really get into the history of it. I mean, I would say I listen to Renaissance and Cowboy Carter at least 1 to 2 times each a week, if not more. And there are some times where I'm listening and I'm like, I've never noticed that, or I've never caught that sample, or like, there's so much to digest and really dig into the layers of these albums. And we still have a 3rd album to come. So like the fact that she was like, nope, not giving you the visuals, because as soon as you give a music video, you just jump to conclusions of what that song is about and kind of like, oh, in this video, she's doing XYZ. So that's the only message in this song. And these songs can be interpolated so many different ways and so many different things can be found within each track. So I love this explanation. I think it really gives us a deeper meaning of like why we don't have the visuals yet, when to expect them, if to expect them, and just to enjoy the music. She's really put so much into it. We love it. And then the final little tidbit from this incredible interview. First and foremost, has anybody checked on Renee Rapp since this article has come out? Because I know our girl was freaking the fuck out. The interviewer went on to say, "What is currently inspiring you in music and film? What's the best thing you've heard in 2024?" She goes on to list artists such as Ray, Victoria Monet, Sasha Keeble, Chloe and Halle, Renee Rapp, Doechii, and Glorilla. She then says that I just heard that Mexican OT. He's from Houston and he goes hard. I really like Please, Please, Please by Sabrina Carpenter. And I think that the Sacred Souls and Chappell Roan are talented and interesting. I'm obsessed with my backseat baby. I'm a smiler. A lot to digest there. So first and foremost, she has just listed so many incredibly talented artists and some artists that I'm not familiar with. So I've added them to my list to just kind of like go dive into, because if Beyonce is listening to them, they've got to be fucking incredible. So I love this. Renee Rapp is such a Beyonce fan. Like, she has made it known through her entire music career that like that is her number one inspiration. When she got the flowers from her after covering Daddy Lessons, it was such a big deal for her. This was such, I wish we had video footage of when she found out Beyonce mentioned her in this interview, because I know the bitch was gagged. And then if you know me at all, you know that I am such a Miley fan. Like, Miley, Beyonce, and Lorde are my trio, my three favorites. So for her to say, I'm obsessed with my backseat baby, I'm a smiler, and just like give Miley that shout out. Two Most Wanted is still like top 5 songs released for me this year, despite just being like two of my faves. It's also just such a beautiful song. So to see that that wasn't just like a one-off song and they have more of a relationship, and Beyonce respects Miley to a level of calling her a fan and like saying the word smiler. I never expected Beyonce to use the word smiler. So to see that, I was like, oh, this just like warms my little gay heart. It made me so happy. So just love that. And I thought it was such a perfect little interview to put out and like completely just kill the headlines about her getting snubbed at the CMAs, because Beyonce doesn't need a fucking award to remind you that she's Beyonce. She put out a killer body of work and has put out killer bodies of work since the 90s. A CMA nomination is not making or breaking this woman. If anything, it's going to just make her stronger and keep chucking along, because that's exactly what happened with Cowboy Carter. Ugh, I love her so much. This article coming out was like, I was literally walking to the subway reading it. Like, I was one of those assholes on my phone, in my phone, like not paying attention. I was bumping into people, getting screenshots, like taking notes. I was like, this is my Super Bowl. Beyonce released an interview. Hold the fucking phone. It was major. And keeping this PR 101 class going, class is still in session. Taylor fucking Swift. Last week, there was a contract that was leaked from Travis's PR team, allegedly, saying that they had a scheduled PR breakup coming in September. I didn't believe it. Like, it wasn't really selling it for me. It was like a document that anybody could have typed up. We all have access to Microsoft Word. Like, it didn't really like floor me. I genuinely do not think they're a PR couple. Like, they're just not. I don't know. Just to me, I just don't see it. So that didn't do much to me. And whether or not this was part of a plan to like debunk that and like take over the headlines, they did this perfectly. And then it kind of shot her in the foot, but then it kind of went perfect again. We'll get into it. So obviously the contract comes out and then the weekend unfolds. So we see Taylor at Travis's first game of the season doing her whole thing. She has her little vodka crayon, as she does. She's sitting with the family, sitting separately from Brittany Mahomes, which is important. Remember that for later. Then we see them in New York. Like, the next day, they're at Lucali here in New York, one of Beyonce and Jay-Z's favorite pizza spots. So I guess they were just having like a PR 101 meetup or something. They were, sending vibes to each other back and forth. Then they were at Electric Lady for a wedding, which such a cool venue to have a wedding at. Granted, it was for the owner of Electric Lady, but that's such like an iconic thing to be like, oh yeah, I own Electric Lady and I had my wedding there. Star-studded event. Taylor was obviously there with Travis. Lana Del Rey was there. Carly Kloss was there, which I'm not even going to get into. We were going to leave it at that, but they were out and about there. And once you go to a wedding with a partner, it's kind of a big deal. Whether you're Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce or a regular Joe Schmo and Miss Mary Mac, going to a wedding with your significant other is like, it's a big moment in a relationship, regardless of your status. So seeing them there, again, just kind of like defeating those rumors. And then they went to the US Open, which at first I was like, oh my God, Sporty Spice, we love to see it. And then she was seen hugging Brittany Mahomes. So Brittany Mahomes had previously endorsed Trump twice now on Instagram. She was my mess a few weeks ago talking about it. And when Taylor sat separately from her at the game, I was like, period, bitch. She is, taking her stand. She is not hanging out with her. And then they shared a hug at the US Open. Now, in the moment, I'm not even going to sit here and lie and act like I was like, whatever, it's fine. Like, she's not supporting, whatever. I was a little hurt. As a gay man, as a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, it stung a little bit to see an artist that you've supported and loved and has been an ally to the community for years and, made a whole movement over it in her documentary and one of her albums. Like, it definitely stung a little bit. Did I think Taylor Swift was going to vote for Trump? No. Did I think she was going to come out and endorse Kamala eventually? Absolutely. I knew she was going to do it. I know where she stands, but it still stung, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but the discourse on Twitter around like all of this had been fucking insane. Like, I made a little statement saying, like, I was like, listen, do I think she's endorsing Trump? No. Does it hurt and kind of slap me in the face that she is still being friends with somebody who supports pretty much like anti LGBT on top of 10,000 things? Yeah. And, it's true. Did I understand Taylor? No. People were going dramatic. Like, they were like, I'm going to sell my records and my Eras Tour tickets, which, if anyone is selling their Eras Tour tickets since the endorsement, send them my way. I will take them off your fucking hands. You can go vote your little red hands at the elections, and I will happily be at the Eras Tour. Hit my line. That being said, that definitely stung a little bit. But then the stunt that Taylor Swift and Tree Payne fucking pulled on Tuesday night, the second Kamala Harris stepped off the debate stage, we've got to give them a round of fucking applause because it was masterclass timing. We've been waiting for Taylor Swift to endorse Kamala for months. We've been like, just say something. Obviously, she's endorsed Biden back in 2020, and like it was right before the election, which it made sense for the time. It was like that final push. This time, there was a lot of different things at stake. Obviously, there was that potential terrorist attack in Vienna, the stabbing in London that happened at the Taylor Swift theme class. Like, there's a lot of targets on her back right now. At the end of the day, I still was like, you need to come out and say something, especially after being with Brittany over the weekend. Like, it was just like, please just say anything. Like a post. You don't even have to post anything. She could have liked something. It would have been enough, like just a little bit to hold us over. I understand the argument of like not announcing that she's endorsing Kamala so close to her shows because she's in swing states and people can get crazy. I understand that argument. And that's why I think announcing the fact that Taylor Swift is fully endorsing Kamala a month and a half before her shows start again, right after the debate, right on the heels of this, Brittany Mahomes drama, the Travis drama from last week. Like, this was such a perfect way to just like clear the slate, put her mark on this election, and just like lead us home. She has driven over 400,000 people to the voter registration page. The post got 1 million likes in 15 minutes. I checked it before we started recording. It was at 10.6 million likes. She obviously was at the VMAs last night, so it just was like, it was like the bow on top of like debunking all of the things about her and Travis being with Brittany over the weekend. It just was so well executed, and it made me very happy. Does it suck again to see her with somebody who's endorsing Trump? Absolutely. At the end of the day, none of us know these people. So we don't know their relationship. We don't know how close they are. There's plenty of friends that I have who I'm not that close with their significant other, but I give them a hug when I see them. We don't know their relationship. We don't fully know what's going on. Do I love that she's hanging out with her in this capacity? Of course not. But she endorsed Kamala. I'm wiping my hands clean of it. Hang out with her, I guess. Do what? Not like no. Don't hang out with her. It fucking sucks. Like it is. It's shitty. But she endorsed Kamala. I will take it. It has, given me it's given me more hope there. And we do not know these people. We don't know what their relationship's like. But that being said, we then have the VMAs last night. Not only did she remind people to vote at the upcoming election and register to vote, she also gave a shout out to her boyfriend, Travis, which it just, it was like, I didn't think it could get better than the endorsement to like say my boyfriend, Travis, as she's accepting the biggest award of the night, video of the year, and tell people to vote at all in the same like 3 minute span. It was a master class in PR. I was obsessed. I was like this. I changed my entire outline this morning. I had a whole different layout for this. I was talking about Taylor, but not in this capacity. It was kind of like a different segment. Regardless, doesn't matter. But I was like, oh no, her and Beyonce are killing it this week. I went to school for digital marketing and communication, so I eat any PR shit like this up. This was just so So good. I loved it. It was incredible from both of them just to see these two forces in pop culture and in just culture in general take these narratives that have been written about them, completely spin it and just be like, fuck you guys. This is what I'm going to do and this is who I am. You can't tell me who I am, tell me what to do, tell me who I'm nominated for. Ugh, incredible. It was too pop to handle. And speaking of things that were too pop to handle, the VMAs last night. Let's get into it. Ah, what a show. I feel like the VMAs, I love them every year because I'm just like a pop culture whore. And even when it's a bad VMA, I'm still like, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I can find something to enjoy. I really enjoyed, I would say 95% of the show last night. The 5% that I didn't enjoy was the really heavy leaning on like the throwback content and like only airing 7 awards. After all, it's the Video Music Awards, and they were definitely pumping out these performances non-stop, and it was like they were trying to cater to every single person to give them a performance to tune into, and it just felt like they were like shoving performances down our throat, which it is kind of what the VMAs have become at this point. But I would have enjoyed a little bit more award ceremony to it and kind of maybe seeing like maybe like 2 or 3 less performances. But regardless, I really did enjoy every single performance. I didn't think anyone did a bad job. There were some that I liked more than others, some that I didn't love, but they were still good. Nobody did bad. I'll say that. Like it was all really solid performances. And despite that like 5% that I would have changed, it was a solid show. So we're going to go through. We're not going to do crazy recap because obviously this episode is already a little bit long and we have some other things to talk about. But right off the bat, the red carpet. Best dressed of the night to me, Sabrina Carpenter wearing vintage Bob Mackie. It was Madonna's dress from 1991. She wore it to the Oscars, she performed in it, and to have Sabrina Carpenter wearing this vintage Bob Mackie moment, ugh, I was eating it up. I was licking the plate clean. It was everything. She looked fucking insane. And then overall, let's just call it what it is. The VMAs were so Britney Spears coded this year. They're always sprinkling in a little bit of Britney, but this year specifically, like I said, it was really throwback heavy. But even the girls were turning out Britney looks, Britney references nonstop. Addison Rae walked the carpet, and when they asked what her biggest VMA moment was, she literally said anything Britney has ever done at the VMAs, but specifically when she did I Can't Get No Satisfaction and ripped off the tux into that like lacy sheer outfit. Off the bat, Britney shout out. Tate McRae shows up wearing a replica of Britney's 2001 VMA red carpet outfit. She looked stunning in it. Both of them did when Britney wore it back in 2001, when Tate wore it this year. Stunning. It was like a pretty much almost exact replica, except Tate's was black and Britney's was navy or like blue. Fucking loved it. And then within the first 15 minutes of the show, Megan Thee Stallion is standing there with a yellow python around her neck, dressed in the Slave for You outfit, and just like Britney Spears needs some type of like icon award or like something more than the Video Vanguard, because like she's not gonna do a performance. Unfortunately, she's just like not in the state. I mean, if you guys saw the video she posted on Instagram today, it made me a little emotional. I'm not gonna lie. So that's why we're not gonna talk about it much, because I was like, seeing her in the state that she's at and just knowing she's not fully, there mentally, it upsets me. Which, if you've listened to the podcast since the beginning, it just, I don't know. It is what it is. We're gonna push past it. But seeing all of the homage that was paid to Britney and the way that like the VMAs are so rooted in Britney core, they need to give her some type of like accolade, award, something. I don't know, because she is the VMAs. Like she truly has like given so much life to this award show, and it was nice to see all the girls paying homage there. We love to see it. And now getting into the awards of the night, I'm only going to recap the ones that we've talked about on the podcast. So we're talking most iconic performance, video of the year, artist of the year, best pop, song of the year, and best new artist. So most iconic performance of the night went to Katy Perry, Roar 2013. When I talked about these performances last week or the week before, I was like, of this list of performances, Katy is the one that I don't understand how she made this list. It's a great performance, but there are so many other ones, so I really didn't think she was going to get close to winning, and she won it. She's getting enough shit in the media right now, and I'm not a Katy Perry hater. Like, I genuinely do really love Katy Perry, but I definitely thought this award could have been given to somebody else. But you know what? It is what it is. Good for you, Katy. Take the award. I loved her performance. Spoiler alert, we'll get more deep into it in a minute, but award of the night went to Most Iconic Performance Award went to Katy Perry, and then Video of the Year, Artist of the Year, and Best Pop went to Taylor Swift. No surprise there. I mean, she always sweeps with the VMAs. It's fan voted. The fans, the Swifties, are going to go fucking ham. No shocker there that she swept. She also became the most awarded artist in VMA history as a solo artist. That is very important because she is now tied with Beyoncé for 30 total VMAs. But what makes her the most decorated artist in VMA history as a solo artist is that 4 of Beyonce's VMAs are with Destiny's Child and Jay-Z, and the other 26 are for just Beyonce projects, where Taylor's are all a Taylor Swift project. So obviously a huge accolade, but all the headlines are like most awarded, beat Beyonce, da, 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 and like they're always pinning these two against each other, regardless of how many times they remind us that they're friends. But very exciting for Taylor, very well deserved. I mean, I don't need to say anything about her being a pillar in pop culture. She is pop culture, so congratulations to Taylor. And some more congratulations are in order because Sabrina Carpenter won her first VMA, Song of the Year for Espresso. It's a no-brainer. This song was everywhere. Good for you, bitch. You deserve it. You have put your fucking work in this year. Something I want to bring up, I don't know if anybody else thinks of this, but it's kind of a Roman Empire for me. In one of Sabrina's interviews that she did within the last like 2 years, they tried to have her try McDonald's. And she said, I've never had McDonald's because I'm waiting until something in my career happens to try it for the first time. I think it's to win a Grammy for the first time, but she is having a lot of firsts. She had her first #1 single, #1 album, her first VMA. I think the only other thing I could really think of like being the first is a Grammy or like maybe a Super Bowl performance, but I don't know what it is. She said there was a career highlight that has to happen in her life before she ever has McDonald's. And anytime any of these like first things for her happen and she keeps like, grow her pop star supreme powers keep growing, I'm like, what is it gonna be that gets this bitch to try a Big Mac? Because it is one of my Roman Empire. So maybe it's this, maybe it's a Grammy. Who knows what it is? We will see. But congratulations, Miss Sabrina. There's no fucking denying I'm obsessed with the bitch. We love her. Next up and final award, we're going to talk about some more congratulations. Mitch Chappell Roan won Best New Artist, and it is so well deserved. Do I need to say anything more? I don't think I do. We're going to talk more about Chappell in just a minute. We're going to deep dive into Chappell, Sabrina, and Katie's performances. But just to kind of breeze through the performances that I really loved and wanted to give their 10s to, Carol G, Lisa, Glorilla, and Halsey fucking killed it. I really thought everybody did a really solid job this year performance-wise. Again, there were some that I liked more than others, some that I loved, some that were just fine. Those 4 girls, they brought it. Carol G is always going to give us a killer performance no matter what she's doing. She is so talented. Lisa was serving cunt the entire 3.5 minutes she was on that stage. It was incredible. I really loved Blackpink when they were like together and doing their whole thing. They're just like such a force to be reckoned with, and seeing Lisa do her own thing and kind of just like rise to the stardom, I'm like, you better, bitch. Keep your fucking thing going. We love to see it. Glorilla. The one thing about Glorilla, I felt so bad. Her top like split open. I was like, oh my god, not the Janet Jackson moment, but Justin Timberlake nowhere to be found. Felt so bad for her there, but she ate her performance. She looked stunning. She was killing it. I loved her performance, and her dancer had her back. Literally, the way she jumped up on that table and grabbed her shirt and kept her shirt closed the entire rest of the performance. That is a performer, bitch. That dancer better get a raise. She better be signed for Glorilla for life because she saved her ass on that damn stage. And then Halsey. I've talked about her so much this episode, so I will keep this short and sweet. The fact that she did a little Freaky Friday pink slip reference, or maybe it wasn't intentional, but my entire timeline was instantly like, oh my god, this is a pink slip reference. She was performing in the garage. It was giving that like early 2000s grungy girl group band. Loved the performance, loved the song. I'm so excited for this Halsey album. I can't get enough. But we're going to move into kind of some more deep dive of just like general VMA things now. Chappell Roan. So obviously all eyes were really on her this year. It was kind of like such a major deal. She canceled her shows for this performance. She was just having all this backlash for everything online. And within 34 seconds of her being on the carpet, she is talking back to the photographers as she should. The clip that went viral originally just showed her saying, "Shut the fuck up, not me, bitch," to the photographer. If you watch the entire video, the photographer was being so nasty and being like, shut the fuck up. Her publicist didn't put her on the right spot. She's not standing in the right place, like heckling her. You can argue that's his job. He's supposed to get the shot. I don't give a fuck. If somebody is yelling at you and screaming at you, especially in a high stress situation like that, I would tell him to shut the fuck up too. Everybody immediately jumps to she's a mean girl, she's this, she's that. Next, absolutely not. Try again. I loved her red carpet look. I loved that she rolled out that carpet herself. She said that carpet was like 200 or 400 years old. The robe was like 300 years old. So she was renting all of these like very vintage antique pieces, which really just like added to the magnitude of what she was going to do. And then her fucking performance before she even steps on stage. Sasha Colby, your favorite drag queen's favorite drag queen, takes the stage to announce Chappell's performance, which, if you know anything about Chappell, you know the bitch loves a drag queen and she adores Sasha Colby. Her whole moment at Coachella that went viral when she said, I'm your favorite artist, was literally paying homage to Sasha Colby. So I just know that was such a special moment for Chappell and just for Sasha in general. Like, it was such a full circle moment in all parties, and such a when as soon as I saw Sasha was a presenter, I was like, she's gonna announce something for Chappell. And announcing Chappell's debut VMA performance, I can't ask for a better moment. I really could not. And then this performance, unfucking real. How did she get an entire castle inside UBS Arena? And how does she was swinging fire around like that? Like the concept, the visuals, the dancers, like everything was there. The vocals were in fucking sane. I'm sorry. It was worth canceling her shows in Europe for this performance. Sue me, kill me. It is what it is. This performance was incredible. I fucking loved it. She sounded insane. She looked insane. The set was insane. It was major. I loved it. My one thing with it is I did want a medley. I would have loved like a hot to go moment, but Good Luck Babe is such like the driving force of what really has gotten her so viral this year. So it makes sense that that's what it was dedicated to. Not a complaint, just an observation. This was a knockout performance, and I could not be happier that the night ended with her winning best new artist. I cannot wait to see what is next for Chappell. Little tidbit. She was on the cover of Rolling Stone this week, and I loved it. But this episode's already long, so a little spoiler for this weekend's Popping In newsletter. So sign up for my Substack. We talk about the Chappell Roan interview with Rolling Stone and the cover and the photos in my newsletter. So make sure you're subscribed. Link down below. And the next person we're going to talk about is Sabrina Carpenter's performance. I mean, it is going so insanely viral for so many reasons, and it is so well deserved. The photo of her being held up with the moon men, making out with the alien, everything about it was perfect. The way she came down from the ceiling with the confetti, so angelic, singing Please, 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 and then into Taste. Mind you, Taste is about Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello. Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello were in the room, also performers. Like, it was just like, it checked all the boxes. Fucking incredible. I cannot get enough of her this year. And then Katy Perry gets awarded with the Video Vanguard. And this performance is how you fucking do a Video Vanguard performance. Say what you want about her this year. I understand and I can agree with you. This performance fucking ate. It was incredible. She sounded incredible. She looked incredible. The visuals, the way she was like levitating, she wasn't even like flying. She was like floating over the audience. It was insane. It was incredible. I fucking loved it. From Orlando announcing her to Orlando presenting it to her to there having a little moment to shouting out Daisy. Tens across the board. I loved this performance. It was incredible. That is how you do a Video Vanguard Award, and that is why Katy Perry was awarded this major accomplishment because she has hits, she has videos, she has it was everything. I was obsessed. No notes from me on this performance. And that wraps up our VMA coverage for the year. So much fun covering the VMAs. I feel like they've been kind of like a staple in the show for the past few weeks. So much fun. Crazy it is over. But you know what? That's life. Time flies when you're having fun. And now we are going to get into a quick little TV recap. Selling Sunset season 8. That was a kind of abrupt transition. I'm so sorry. That was a bit aggressive. I even got some whiplash. I can't imagine people just listening. But we are transitioning out of VMAs into my TV recap. Selling Sunset season 8. I binged the entire season in one day. Let's get into it. So, one of the first things we're going to talk about is Alana, the new girl in the office. I don't know if I love her. I don't know if I don't like her. I think she's a solid person on the cast. I think she stands on fucking business. The way that she like oh, spoiler alert, the way that she was like assigned that project with Brett and then like completely did a 180 and got the new project manager, got the house like getting completely redone. Like she ate that for sure. I was very impressed there. She is getting a little backlash online right now because she was kept going on with this narrative that she was like owning that town and it was her town, she owned it. And the residents of that town have now come out and been like, she doesn't own the entire town. She owns a section of it. So definitely going to be really awkward when she goes back to the town the next time and, she doesn't own it and she has to face these people with it. But I digress. Obviously, the main point of the entire show this season really was the Chelsea, Brie, Emma, Chriselle storyline of it all. So we're going to focus mostly on that. Little tidbits besides that. I mean, I think the whole Mary and Chelsea drama, it was so uncalled for. I loved their moment where they resolved it and they had that little lunch and they were like, she was like, I see you. We see each other. We are the same. They made up. I'm glad they made it up because it was just like kind of a weird storyline to force. I don't know. But like I said, the main point of the season really was the Brie and Chelsea drama of it all, and then Chriselle and Emma getting tied into it. So I'm going to start off by saying I still stand on the business of what I was saying last week that it is team Chriselle, Emma, and Chelsea till the day I die. I love them to death. But I would be lying if I said I also didn't cheer for Team Brie a little bit here and there. She was always one of my faves. I think she's so cunty. She just kind of tells it how it is. Do I think she could stir up drama? Sure. But at the end of the day, I think she does keep it real. And I do think her intentions were very solid in this whole telling Chelsea about her husband cheating on her situation. I don't think she was going into it trying to like get back at Chelsea because, like she said on the show, if I wanted to get back at the bitch, I would get back at her. And this was not getting back at her at all. And now that this season has come out and we're kind of learning more about the situation, we have a little insider tea from yours truly. So Brie went on E! News, I believe it was, and she was saying, she was like, I found out about Chelsea's husband cheating on her in December. We filmed that scene in March, and Chelsea asked if we could put it on camera to be filmed. Now, yes, that is 3 to 4 months where they knew about this, and then they all act shocked when it's on camera. They're on a TV show. Obviously, it's not all real, a little bit scripted. They've got to, fluff the plot a little bit. But what they don't know is that yours truly, I went to the PCAs in February and I was at the after party and the whole cast was there and Brie and Chelsea was hanging out with the group that I was with for the night. So I was with them for a little bit and then we all ended up leaving together. We all like got in the elevator together, left together, but it was only me, my group, Brie, Chelsea, and then Jason and Brett hopped into the last minute. But it was very much like me and my two friends, Brie and Chelsea, all getting in the elevator together, and then Jason and Brett hopping in. Brie and Chelsea were buddy buddy. They were laughing. They left together. Like they were together all night long. I literally witnessed this with my own two eyes. Like there was no weird blood. There was no weird energy. They were very much like together as like friends in that sense. Now Emma wasn't there and Chriselle had left. So like maybe it would have been different if they were there, but there was definitely no bad blood when I was with them in February. So to know that they knew this in December and something else that's interesting is when I met Chelsea, when I introduced myself, I was like, I love your outfit. You look gorgeous as always. She was like, oh my God, I almost didn't come today. I have a lot going on, but I decided at the last minute to pull an outfit together and now here I am. So I was like, what is going on that you weren't going to come to the PCAs? Now I'm like, what is something with her husband maybe? So obviously like it almost like doubles down on the fact that like this did happen obviously in December. They filmed the scene in March. I don't know. Something definitely doesn't add up. And I think not to her fault at all. I think Chelsea was letting her emotions and kind of like maybe a little denial sink in of being like, this isn't my life. This isn't happening. We're a perfect couple, like whatever it may be. And like maybe just like lashing out to Brie in that sense, which again, totally understandable. This is a crazy situation to be in, especially when you have kids with somebody and you've been married to them for so long. Like you're gonna kind of be a little like wishy-washy on the situation and with their history, like I get it, I understand it, but I definitely think it was a little irrational the way that like Emma wouldn't even hear Brie out and would just like down her throat the entire time. again, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and like clearly there's some narrative about Emma going on, which I don't think it's true. I don't know. There's like a lot behind the scenes that we will never know. I'm just sharing what I did witness behind the scenes, and it definitely just, I don't know. What I will say is I do hope that Amanda, Bree's friend who told Chelsea about it, doesn't end up coming to the O group, because I don't really want her in the mix. I feel like every time she's on the show, she's mixed up in drama. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I would love having her back on the season. Also, somebody else I don't want back on the season. Can they just cut Nicole? All the fucking drama. She's like stirring the pot about Emma. All the drama with Chriselle. Yes, they made up and they like got over it, but like it was just so uncalled for and unwarranted. And I just feel like if they just like cut her out of the show, she wasn't even part of the original cast, even though she was working there. Like she wasn't on camera for the first few seasons. Like, can we go back to that? I don't know. Overall, I really did enjoy the season. I mean, I watched it in one day. Very entertaining, very good. I really did. I loved the season. That it was really, really good. Now I'm like mad that I binged it in one day because I'm like, ugh, I want more. But I just couldn't stop. I did take breaks. I did breathe. I packed, I cleaned. Like I didn't watch it in one sitting, but it was like a morning, an afternoon, and a night that I finished all 11 episodes in. But it is what it is. Whatever. Definitely a good season. I was very happy with it. Lots of drama, no selling houses. Typical Selling Sunset season. It was fabulous. Again, they could never make me hate Chriselle. And that's Selling Sunset Season 8. I loved it. It was a great season. Moving right along, we have made it to the end of our show, which means it is time for my yes and my mess of the week. My yes being something I'm loving, and my mess being something I am not loving. And my yes this week is something where I am just going to I'm going to own my shit. I am going to come out and say, you know what? I apologize. I take it back because I owe JLo an apology. That revenge dress that she was wearing at TIFF last week, that bitch looked incredible. Now, a few weeks ago, I was like, I think it's time for JLo to like take a back seat, not be in the limelight, not be in the public eye. After she pulled that fucking dress out and looked that damn good, oh bitch, be in our face. Be in our face. Show up to every event. If you're gonna look like that at every fucking red carpet, I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't care who you're dating, what you're doing. She looked so good. That is how you look after a divorce. In fucking credible. And also, can we talk about the Matt Damon moment? Like, literally, Ben Affleck's best friend are they're sitting there holding hands, him and J-Lo, and like he has his hand on his head. You could tell he's like disappointed. It's like a friendship breakup. Like, obviously, he's Matt Damon's best friend. He can't be friends with J-Lo anymore, but like, it's gotta hurt, you know? I'm interested to see what they were talking about. But once I saw J-Lo in that revenge dress, I was like, oh bitch, this is my yes for the week. I need to eat my words from a few weeks ago. And one thing about me is I will take accountability. I will admit when I'm wrong. I definitely do think it would be beneficial for J-Lo to take a little detox from the public light for a little bit. But if she's gonna show it to events looking like that, talk to your ex-man's best friend and then go home, I'll take it. I will take it. Maybe don't tour, don't release an album, take a breather in that sense. But if you're going to show up, serve cunt, and go home, I am sold. And then my mess this week is somebody who is not a stranger to my mess category on this show, P fucking Diddy's. He just, every few months, something else comes out about this piece of shit. This week, Danity Kane's Dawn Richard is suing Sean Diddy Combs for sexual abuse and claims that she witnessed violence against Cassie. She is saying that Diddy owes her an estimated of $3.5 million in unpaid salaries and royalties for the first two album releases by the group, as well as unpaid wages for touring for over 100 dates. So like, obviously it's fuck P. Diddy regardless of like who comes out and who says what. But the fact that there are just like more cases as time goes on, and they just get like grosser. And I'm not going to go into details because it is a little bit of like a trigger warning. They talk about very sensitive subjects. If you are interested in reading it, just a trigger warning, like be prepared to read some things that are a little, little disturbing to say the least. But the fact that like there are still these lawsuits coming out about this man, and like more things that he's done are coming out, like owing somebody $3.5 million, that is life-changing money, especially when it's something that you worked for and put your time into. This man just like, they need to like get him for everything he's fucking worth, and then just like Send him off to a private island to never be seen or hurt anybody again. I can't. I promise you, there will never be another time that I talk about P. Diddy unless it is in this mess section. Like, you will never find him in any piece of the show ever unless it is a mess, because I have no time for that piece of shit. And that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you liked what you heard and you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a like, drop a comment down below. If you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure you subscribe to the show, leave me a 5-star rating, leave me a review. It would really mean the world to me. I say it every week. If you send this episode to one friend, say it with me. I will double in listeners. It is easy math. I would love it if you just shared the love and wealth of Too Pop to Handle with a friend. Let them know, look at this, listen to this fabulous podcast that I just started listening to. Share it with a friend. Sharing is caring. Like I said at the top of the show, subscribe to my Substack. It is twopoptohandle.substack.com. You will get weekly newsletters of extra pop culture tidbits that just didn't fit into the show, because you know what they say, an hour-long podcast just isn't enough. Follow us on our social medias. We are at 2pop2handle. Follow me on my social medias at Andrew Nucatola. And until then, I will catch you guys next time. Bye.